2 of this week's Cats Whiskers TV. We're going to move straight into our hot topic this week, and we asked, are British players given a fair crack of the whip abroad, or are they just not good enough? And we got quite a few of your tweets in regarding this. But first, Aaron, I know this is a topic that you've wanted us to discuss for a while, and of course, it seemed appropriate with Robert Farmer coming back to play for the Panthers last week. So, what are your opinions?
I don't know, Johnny. No, I did. It just made me think, really. Look, Dowd came back at the start of the season after one season in Sweden. Peacock came back earlier on in the season. Like you just mentioned, Farmer's now come back, and signed with the Panthers. It just made me think, what is it about these British players going abroad and seem to be coming back into this league? Is it the fact that they aren't good enough when they get there? Is it the fact they don't like it abroad? Is it the fact that they feel a bit of a small fish in a big pond over there compared to a big fish in a pond here? And it's interesting. I mean, it's a strange one for me because they're good players. They're not bad players, And granted, I've never been and watched an ice hockey game in Sweden, so I'd have no idea, the quality that they have. But I think we've got good British players in this league, and they're young. It's not like they're people that are going over there later on in their careers, for either a big payday or, just to experience something. They're young players, and I'd like to think that they're young players that are hungry and they want to test themselves. So in that sense, it makes me think that from a broad point of view, that coaches or organisations, clubs, they just don't think that they're good enough.
I think the thing is that obviously the British players here, many of them absolutely on par and better than the imports that come here. However, I think when they do go over to say the United States, Sweden, wherever, they have to have something extra to stand out, because let's face it, in North America there's going to be lots of junior hockey players, there's going to be lots of young hockey players, same in the Scandinavian countries, Czech Republic, Eastern Europe, those sort of places. So you've got to have that sort of X factor to stand out from the rest. Yeah,
well, I mean, it's funny you just say that about North America, really, is because you look Frozen Steel blog.
That's Liam McCausland. That's easy.
Liam. Basically, he's gone. Farmer has gone to America and been found out. He may succeed more on the continent or elsewhere. So it's interesting. He chose to go to. He chose to try it out in America. And like you say, the pool of hockey players in America, Canada, it's
rather large.
Yeah, rather large, shall we say? But you say that they have to have something extra, something else. Well, exactly what is that? What else are you looking for in particular? If they're they're young, you'd like to think they're hungry. They're good skaters. You mentioned Farmer, Dowd, Peacock, right? All forwards, all been successful in this league. Done very well. At GB as well, to be fair to them, in that aspect. So they've put themselves on a show, in view of other countries. And I mean, there is a tweet from somewhere, I can't remember, regarding, from Frozen Steel blog again, from Liam, saying regarding Dowd that he was doing fine in Sweden and got offered a new deal.
I think Dowd's a different case. From what I can gather, whether the stories are true or not, but Dowd's wife didn't like it in Sweden, and for his family, for personal reasons, he decided to come home.
Well, you have to say fair play for that, really, because, I imagine there might be some people that will go, well, hang on, this is my career, I only get a short career, but family's family, isn't it, at the end of the day? And you're going to get those personal reasons, and don't get me wrong, people are going to go abroad and they're not going to like it and stuff like that. I just find it interesting that it seems to be happening more and more often than not. I mean, you could only say there's one exception at the moment, isn't there, really?
Yeah.
So
in Kazakhstan.
Yeah, exactly.
Where to be honest, I think the level, from what I've researched is pretty similar to what the Elite League is. So, I mean, obviously they do have KHL teams there, but the actual level that Ben O'Connor's playing at is not too dissimilar to that of the Elite League.
Well, I was just shocked that you said you'd done some research, to be honest. So that just threw me for a second. No, but I mean, fair play to him. He's sticking it out there, and if that is the case, that it's around the Elite League level, sort of standard, then that's not necessarily a bad thing. He's gone to a different country. I'm sure he's learning new languages and stuff like that, and he might then want to progress even further. That might be sort of the next mini stepping stone to, a main European side, or if he wants to, if he wants to try that. Fair play to him. I just find it interesting, and don't get me wrong, it's not nice for this league to lose players like Dowd, Peacock, Farmer. It's not, and from a Panthers point of view, we've picked up a right steal.
But looking at the bigger picture, for the profile of the league, it's obviously very, very good if we have got young British players going abroad and making a success of it. And I think, my personal opinion, I don't think they're given much of a chance. I mean, Robert Farmer had 4 games. 4 games. 4 games. I mean, that's not enough to. And I bet he didn't get a great deal of ice time in those 4 games as well. So
you don't know the shifts that he got as well, so do you? No. So.
But to look at, and this is an interesting one that we got from Scotty Knowles, that says it's rare for British sportsmen to go abroad, not just in hockey. I think because Brits just don't like change, and I think he's actually got a point there. If you think about footballers, especially, I mean, there's not too many British footballers that I can think of. Gareth Bale and.
Well, in the past you could probably...
and Beckham, and that's probably about it.
Well, yeah, Michael Owen went over for a season, didn't he? I think, or something. In the past, maybe Paul Ince, Gaza and Lineker, they're the only ones that spring to mind. But yeah, I mean, it's not a case. It seems a case of this country in any sport. Loads of people from other countries come into our sports, and we don't necessarily go the other way. It's from a GB point of view as well. It would be nice if these players went out there and got a bit more experience to benefit the GB, side and that. But I think as well, it's what do you think if you're Robert Lakovic or you're Stevie Lee? What do you think? What are you thinking? Are you thinking, well, do I go in? Have I got? I certainly
think they should give it a shot. I think Lakovic is certainly good enough, but again, it's that would he stand out compared to the other players that are out there, and I think that's what Kevin Bianco has said here. I think there's better local talent in the countries they are playing, so they're going to have to stand out to get anywhere. Guys who have gone abroad recently, only Dowd and O'Connor have been a high calibre talent to be able to do well abroad, and he's absolutely right there. So would Steve Lee and Robert Lakovic all undoubtedly good enough? Are they probably thinking, have I got enough?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? It's going to be your inner confidence now, as and I only use Lacko and Stevie Lee because of the Panthers. There's plenty of other British talent in most of the clubs.
Well, as I say, one we mentioned in the last part, Ben Davis.
Yeah, exactly, and he's been getting good reviews for the last couple of seasons now. So I think it's then more of an inner confidence and an inner belief, really, isn't it? You've got to, and it's interesting that. Let me just find it here. No. Basically, talking about inner confidence, and it's good old blog 15. There we go, Lee Sims, blog from block 15. Sometimes it does sometimes feel like their attitudes aren't right, and they would rather be a big fish in a small pond back home. Now, I think that's down to inner confidence, isn't it, really? It's down to, and when we're talking about these players, that potentially could go abroad, you've got to be strong, you've got to be mentally strong, and you've got to really go over there with the attitude of, do you know what, I'm going to make it here, I'm going to break it. Yes, it might be uncomfortable, yes, nobody might know me, and I might be a small fish in a bigger pond, and I won't have be as comfortable as I would be back home, but I'm going to benefit from it. But like we've said, and especially in relation to Farmer, you've got to be given time. And if they don't give you time, you really can't do much, can it?
And at the same time, you know, it's a short career that these guys. If Robert Farmer's in a situation where he was put on waivers, no other team comes in and picks him up. At the end of the day, he's got to earn a living. He's got to get paid. He's got to pay the bills.
Exactly.
You know, and if he has to come back and play for the Panthers to do that, then you know what else is he supposed to do?
No, exactly. And I think what we like to say is, you know, you have to say fair play to these kids. A few years younger than myself, but no, you have to say fair play to these, you know, players for actually going and braving it in the first place. It's just a shame that some of them don't make it, but I'm pretty sure it's not all their faults. It's just the way the things. And I'd rather they come back into our league and make our league stronger than what it was when they were abroad. And you know, from a Panthers point of view, for Farmer, it looked as if, you know, that deal was already pretty much made in the summer. That, you know, if it didn't work out,
I think he had signed for us, and then obviously he managed to get an ECHL contract. So,
but if it doesn't work out, you are coming to play for the Panthers basically. And I think, you know, it's great from our point of view. You know, it's Sheffield. You know, of course they're happy that Dowd's back in their team, and I'd say most Belfast fans are happy that Peacock is in their team as well. So, you know, from a fan's point of view in this league, it makes us a bit more happier, and it makes the league stronger. And it'll be interesting, you know, just to see who's next to go and try it, and whether they do stick it out a little bit longer.
Well, a couple more tweets that we've received. So, Patrick Smyth, who'll be on a bit later, covering the Panthers Giants game with us. The short-lived terms in the ECHL and AHL show that while the talent is certainly improving, it's not yet reached that height. But that's not to run down the attempts. It's a step-by-step affair, and sooner or later someone will make it in North America. And I think he's absolutely right. Yeah. I think the talent is improving, and someone will make that breakthrough.
Yeah. And, you know, let's hope it's sooner rather than later. But like you say, the talent is improving, and I think, you know, we're trying to make steps to improve it year on, you know, year out. And it's like Paddy says there, it'll only be a matter of time until somebody does, you know, get the break that they obviously need, and that will benefit this league, and it will benefit, you know, the GB squad as well. So yeah, it's an interesting topic, I think.
Final word, I think we'll leave to Philip Armstrong, who a great couple of tweets he sent in to us. He said, for me, I think the only way a British player will really make it in North America is for them to go there at a young age and get into the junior system and move their way up, as the Canadian and American kids do. And I think that there is a precedent for that with Colin Shields, who moved over very, very early from Scotland when I think he was sort of like 13, 14, and didn't quite make it to the NHL, but did get drafted by Philadelphia Flyers. Played in the collegiate system there, had quite a long ECHL career, so, you know, it can be done.
It's one way to look at it, isn't it? And maybe that is an easier way to get in there than, you know, when you're a little bit older. But that's maybe even more of a thing, isn't it? When you're 13, you know, 12, whatever, that sort of age, to up sticks from your home, you know, your parents. It's a big ask from a family point of view as well. Is, you know, do you shift your whole family over to North America, or, you know, wherever you may choose to go? It's a big commitment. Yeah, it's a big sacrifice, not only for you know, that 12-year-old. It's a big sacrifice for the rest of the family as well, financially, and just emotionally, and just, you know, your general lifestyle. It's a big commitment, but it's a very good point, and I don't know whether you'll see that, you know, in the next few years, but it'll be interesting to see how this one works out over the next, you know, few years, really.
Well, I'm sure we're going to be talking about this probably, if not this season, then certainly in future seasons. Now, on Cats Whiskers TV, we're going to attempt time travel. We're going to go forward 24 hours. It's Panthers against the Giants. Panthers against the Giants, and Patrick Smyth joined us after the game.
After we beat Belfast 15-0.
Yeah, I'm trying to attempt time travel. I can't change results. Here's our views after the game. So 24 hours later it is, and, well, I don't think we were expecting that, were we?
No, I probably don't think we were, really. What a performance, you know. We finally showed up to 60 minutes, everybody gave their all, and we played as a team, and we saw the result of that. So very positive and very happy Panthers fans, I imagine.
I was very, very surprised with how the Giants played. I mean, I never expected to go in there, one, for us to score 8 goals, but them conceding 8 goals. I mean, that was a real surprise.
Yeah, Murphy didn't have his greatest night, but at some stages he got left hung out to dry, didn't he? Really. So I don't know. I just think the Giants just never really looked comfortable, did they? I think from the off we were in their faces. We came out of the blocks and they were a little bit shell shocked, and the goals went in, and the thing as well is that when they got a goal back, within a couple of minutes we got a goal, and that's quite demoralising. So I think I just don't think they turned up as much as we did. When we talked about the Cardiff game, in part 1 of the show, that we didn't turn up in Cardiff, we turned up here tonight, and I think we caught the Belfast maybe on their back heels a little bit, and that gave us the confidence and the lead to grow and grow. 8 goals is fantastic, it really is, and to only concede 3 as well is very positive as well.
I think one of the other big differences is all our players showed up tonight. Not one player on the Panthers roster had a bad game at all. Whereas I think the Giants, their big name players, their big game players just weren't in the races at all tonight.
No, I mean, I would have struggled to give a man of the match to for the Giants, to be honest, and from the Panthers' point of view, to be honest, because there were so many good performances. We talked about the Cardiff game. You need your big players, and as a team, we really performed tonight. I don't necessarily think it was about individuals. It was more about, that was a Panthers performance. It wasn't necessarily, a Rob Lakovic, a David Clark performance, a Chris Murray, a Jonathan Weaver. Everybody really on the roster showed up, and it was a proper team performance. And I think that's what we've maybe been lacking, on certain occasions this season so far. And, really that just gives us the confidence to hopefully go on now and really push on over this Christmas period and New Year period. And maybe, this is what we can expect from the Panthers. Fingers crossed anyway.
Looking at the bigger picture, I think we needed that win more than probably the Giants did. I think the Giants, with the consistency they've been showing recently, they can probably absorb that loss. Whereas for the Panthers, I think it was vitally important for us to win that game in order to probably still stay in touch with the title race.
Yeah, it certainly claws back, a couple of points, doesn't it? And you want to beat your rivals at the end of the day. You need to take the points, but that performance tonight and that result and the 2 points that we've gained will mean nothing if we go and lose against Braehead on Friday. We've really, yes, it's taken 2 points out of the Giants, but we've got to make it 4 points now from the coming games, with against Braehead. So I think as well, maybe that, to say how many games we've had in such a quick succession, I think the Giants looked more tired than what we did. I thought we were quite, we looked sharp, and yes, there were points during the game when we did look a bit jaded and stuff, but I think as a whole the Giants looked more jaded than what we did, which you wouldn't have maybe expected. So that could have played a factor.
I think a couple of points where it broke down was probably the first 2 Giants goals, where they completely burned our defence and left Conway in no man's land. Nothing he can do, and Peacock had 2 easy tap-ins. But that's probably the only time I can think where we actually showed any fatigue. For the rest of the game, we were absolutely on it for 60 minutes.
Yeah. Well, that's what we've said, isn't it? You have to play for 60 minutes. I mean, I think the Belfast goals, they were pretty much, there were a few line calls, line changes, and it gave them the opportunity to break. And Conway didn't really have much of a chance, and they were good goals that Belfast scored. They were nice plays and stuff. You thought they might have shot, but they didn't. They held on to it and then passed it and blah. And so what? But I think that was more through the fact of our mistakes and our maybe tiredness and the Giants' forward play. That's why I think they scored their goals.
Well, before we go back to the studio, we caught up with Giants fan Patrick Smyth a little earlier. Here's what he had to say about the game. Paddy Smith from A View from the Bridge. I can't imagine you're full of the festive spirit after that game.
Ho, ho, ho. I wasn't going to have a drink today. I was basically going to come talk to you and then go quickly, but I really needed this. Wow. That wasn't expected. Not at all. like I said, a lot of excuses could be made, but it was a tale of two defences in that game, and yours was better than ours, and we've ended up with an absolute thrashing.
Do you think that you can absorb that loss probably more than the Panthers could? I mean, I think for the Panthers it was a must-win game to probably stay in the title race, whereas I think the consistency you've shown very, very recently, you've been excellent, you've picked up a load of wins, especially being on the road as you have been. Is the loss probably not as bad for you at this point in the season?
I'd love to respond by saying I could say it best when I say nothing at all, but I can't really. Can we absorb the loss? A loss is a loss. We just didn't get the 2 points. It doesn't matter if it was 8-3. It doesn't matter if it was 5-3. It doesn't matter if it was 5-2. It doesn't matter. It's just a loss. That's the way the Belfast Giants need to approach that. It needs to be a case of just take that puck, throw it in the bin. Let's go face the Edinburgh Capitals and get some sort of revenge for what happened in Murrayfield. In saying that, you guys did need that win. If we'd taken that win, that would have stretched that little gap between us and you. So I think that the Nottingham Panthers are going to be our closest challengers as the season progresses. There's a long way to go, but it doesn't stop that from really, really stinging. And I know the boys are going to be stinging in there. They're going to really want to fight back from that. And it's the game. I think is it's just over the Christmas period, just beyond the Christmas period, when you come back to the Odyssey Arena, and that's going to be an interesting one because I think there's going to be a look for real retribution there.
Do you think that for tonight's game, perhaps not enough of your big game players showed up tonight?
Yes and no. You look at the way that Evan Chevrolet played in that game. Like, I know Craig Peacock had 2 of the goals, but Evan Chevrolet for me was our man of the match. He was working hard on the forecheck. He worked brilliantly for Peacock's goal where he went flying down the right wing. He was absolutely everywhere on the ice. Again, Kiefer was trying to get involved. He was throwing checks. We're missing Darrell Lloyd, who I know is very popular on this show. We're missing Darrell Lloyd. We're missing Jeff Mason. That's going to be tough, especially in defence. And you look at how bad. It was bad. How badly the defence played today, leaving Stephen Murphy out to dry on quite a few occasions. That's not to take it away from the Nottingham Panthers. Some of the passes, some of the break clear goals. Sorry for the break goal. I thought Klaus was phenomenal tonight. Just shows that it was easy for them to break through. Big game players were there. But yeah, okay, I could take your point that maybe they didn't show up as much as they were expected to. I think Suez, Shields and Whitecotton were anonymous really in that game, which is disappointing.
Putting your predicting hat on, how can you see the rest of the season panning out? Can you see, say, Dundee and Braehead remaining there? Because a lot of people were saying, especially if Dundee, their bubble will burst, they'll fall away, and it's not happened, and they're still hanging around at the top of the table. Do you think they can keep that going? And Braehead have sort of come in recently. They're showing a challenge. So, is there a chance that either of those could really make a run for the league?
I think the most likely is going to be Braehead. Dundee are playing fantastically. They made a fortress at home, on away. They're picking up points. But I think their D is so short, especially on imports, that it's going to take its toll when it comes to maybe the business end of the season, should put it like that. Finnerty is a good coach. He showed that at Sheffield. It came close that season when we won the championship with Doug Christensen, that it came down to those last games against Sheffield. Finnerty is able to coach a team to be close to a championship, and I think this season in Braehead he's got one that can really push. Now they've got a lot of injury problems. You'd think that maybe their owner would help out the same way he's helped out down here, but I think that if they can mitigate those, or if they can bring some of those guys back. Lust isn't there, Franks has had his troubles, I think Ash Goldie's out for a while. When those guys come back, they're going to be firing on all cylinders, and Braehead are going to be a real challenger. Now, we talked last season about how the league setup maybe would lead to Braehead having a real challenge when it comes to picking up points against Fife, against Dundee, against Edinburgh, against Hull. And okay, those teams are getting stronger, but if Braehead can really get that on a roll, especially in the Garden Conference, and pick up those points, then come here, go to Sheffield, go to Belfast, and pick up as many points as they can, then they are going to be thereabouts at the end of the season. And it's going to be very, very interesting, because that Gardner Conference has got very, very strong, and there are no easy games in Scotland. Paul Eadie had an interview with us the other week on A View from the Bridge, and he said exactly that. He says that there are no easy games in Scotland. Nottingham have suffered there, Coventry have suffered there, Belfast have suffered there, Sheffield are going to suffer there. It's going to keep things very, very interesting moving forward.
Okay, so A View from the Bridge, when's that coming out this week?
We're going to record it tomorrow night. It's going to be very interesting because of course, Coach was on the Premier Sports during the week. He did a fantastic job. That's not going to stop us from taking the mick out of him. But yeah, we're going to record it tomorrow night, and it's going to be an interesting discussion. But listen, the Belfast Giants have been on the road for 8 games. In those 8 games, we had 2 regulation losses. That's not a bad return. And moving forward, we've now got a good few games at home. We can regroup. Wow, he didn't hit that note, did he? We can regroup against the Capitals, get a bit of revenge for what happened in Murrayfield, and then we've got a good few games at home leading over the Christmas period. Let's get this momentum up. Let's get this train back on the tracks.
So you're looking to be out Thursday?
Thursday morning, more likely.
Give it a listen. It's brilliant. Paddy, thanks ever so much for joining us as ever.
Always a pleasure, mate. Always a pleasure.
So the thoughts after the Panthers versus Giants game. Great that we won. Oh dear, we lost.
Yeah, we could do 2 things here, couldn't we? Going, can't believe we won, or get in, the challenge is back on.
But we're not going to. We're going to instead look ahead to the rest of this week's games. And starting on Friday, Panthers' only game of the weekend, away at Braehead. That's going to be a tough one.
Well, it is, Clan didn't have the greatest of weekends.
Still managed to get points from each game, though.
But I think they wanted. I just mean they would have wanted more from it. God knows how we'll be feeling because we don't know the result of tomorrow night's game. But I think it's a close call game for me personally. Unfortunately, at the moment, I don't see us being a side that's necessarily going to go somewhere and wipe a side away at the moment. I mean, please prove me wrong by all means. I think it's going to take a lot of hard work. It's going to take the attitude of maybe, look, this is our one game this weekend. We have to put everything into it. We've got to go up there. Come on, lads. Let's just get this win, come home, and rest.
Yeah.
And that is what it is. It's a bit of a look. This is the last game. We've got a bit of a rest now. You've put everything on the line for the last, 2 weeks, pretty much. Give me one more. Give me 3 periods of just solid hockey, and let's hope that is enough to get us
through.
Yeah.
Okay. Saturday, Giants playing Caps at home. That's, of course, Giants' only game of the weekend as well. First home game for a long time, so there'll be a welcome for them back at the Odyssey. As good as the Caps have been, and, of course, they've beaten Belfast.
Giants,
The Odyssey, I can't really see anything other than a Belfast win.
Well, you're forgetting that Keith will be banned for 16 games for what he's done. No, I mean, look, you'd say you'd from a Giants point of view, you'd like to think, yes, we've been away from the Odyssey for a while now. Let's go and win a game for our home fans. But in one way, I don't know whether I'd like to face another team than the Caps, really, because they're a bit of a bogey side at the moment, aren't they? Really, they're getting results, the Caps, and yes, you'd think that the Giants would win that game, but the way it is at the moment, there's no reason why the Caps can't go in there and put on a result, because they'll be thinking, look, the Giants have been away for ages. They'll be playing at home. Let's go in there and upset the apple cart. But I think it'll be a Giants win though.
What could be a bit of a barn burner, Fife against Hull. Hull, with losing Suderman and of course still having not replaced Campbell, there's a chance that they'll be at 9 imports and Fife. Fife could take advantage, especially in their barn.
Well, they'll be looking for a reaction as well, won't they? Look at bottom of the league, another home game against a side that's going to be there, mixing and dealing with them all season really. They'll be looking for a reaction. I mean, I see that maybe being like an overtime. Really, I think they sort of, for me, Hull and Fife, they sort of work each other out. They know how each team are going to play, how they're going to set up, and it's just about what you perform on the night. I think for me on that one, but I'm going to say a Fife win for that. I think.
Yeah, I think I'll agree. 5 overtime win I'm going to go for on that one. The live Premier Sports game this week is Clan against Cardiff, so Brayhead Arena. Obviously will be a big crowd there, as there always is. Could be a good spectacle for the TV cameras.
I think that'll be a good game. I think that's two sides that, Cardiff especially, they've come off, they obviously like Premier Sports now. After Saturday's result, so they'll be happy that they're on there again. Clan's point of view, I think they'll want to put on a show, obviously. I see that being a bit of a decent game, actually. I think they've chosen a very good game there to cover. I don't know. I'm not too sure, actually, about that one. I'd like it to be a Clan win, personally. I think, again, obviously it depends on the Friday for the Clan, how it goes on, or anything comes of that game, suspension or injury-wise. They'll be hoping there's no injuries for sure. I don't know, I say Clan.
Okay, Sunday's games. I think Cardiff might win that one. I think Clan's injuries may cost them towards the end of the game.
Well, if Cardiff do win, they'll want to be on Premier Sports every weekend.
Yeah, true. On Sunday, Blaze at home to Fife. Blaze, of course, coming up probably not the best weekend, but they did beat Fife in Fife. So Fife coming down to the Sky Dome. That's not going to be an easy trip for the Flyers.
No, I was just going to say, I think travel might play a part in that one for me. I think Blaze will be want to really put something on show there. I think they'll want to, sort of get the home fans back on track a little bit and put on a performance for the team. So I think that you might see, a 4-1, a 4-2, something like that for the Blaze on that one.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think that'll be a Blaze win. Caps, they're against Hull. Winnable.
Most definitely. Again, it's a bit of travel, isn't it? Really, for Caps more than Hull, really, because Hull will be up there, from the Saturday against Fife, whereas Caps will obviously be coming back from Belfast. But I think the Caps will be wanting to sort of carry on the home form that they've picked up over the last few weeks. It'll be a close game as well, and I actually do think that maybe, Hull, I'm sorry Hull fans, sorry Sam Barn, but I think you might actually not get many points this weekend. I think that'll be a Caps win.
Yeah, I think overtime.
Yeah.
Caps win, but overtime. I think Hull will take it to overtime. Final one, Devils against the Stars. Now there's a potential for a good game.
Yeah, most definitely. I think that'll be goals. Well, I say goals, actually. Think about it. Aaron Acosta's just done a shutout in his last home game, so you never know. But I think that's two teams that are coming into a little bit of form again as well. I know that Stars will be disappointed with their last result against the Giants, but Stars are a team to me that can bounce back. They've not really lost many games on a trot, or they've been picking up results here, there, and which is why they're still third in the league. I think that'll be a very. What do you go for in that one? What do you go? I'm going to go actually a Stars win. I think.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with you there. I can see. I think Stars have the potential to go there and actually sneak a victory. I think it'll be close. I think there'll only be one goal in it, but I can see Stars sneaking that.
Well, I think the Devils will be buoyed from the Panthers as a home arena. They'll be really rocking, and they'll be looking for the same sort of performance. And it'll be interesting to see whether the Devils put on that same performance against, with all due respect to the Stars, a lesser team. These teams get riled up to play against the Panthers. They're the Elite League champions, Challenge Cup champions, playoff champions. They're there to be beaten, aren't they? Stars. I think that's where you see the players, attitude towards it. So it'll be interesting.
Okay, well, we will, of course, be covering all those games in next week's show. So that is it for the second part of this week's Cats Whiskers TV. Thanks once again, Aaron, for joining us, and hopefully Paul will be back with us next week. But until then, good night.